You're watching NBA Now by Chat Sports. I am Chase Senior. Give me a follow on Twitter and Instagram at Chase_Senior. Let's chop it up and talk some ball. Speaking of talking ball, my goodness, what a crazy week in the NBA. So much drama, so much intensity, so many wild storylines, and we're going to recap it all on today's show. It all started on Monday when an article from The Athletic came out talking about the dysfunction within the Dallas Mavericks organization. Talking about some guy named Bob Voulgaris, who was a former professional bettor, who's a front office executive with the Dallas Mavericks. He's been having all these shots within the organization, even going as far as giving Coach Rick Carlisle lineups to trot out every night. And Mark Cuban, owner of the Dallas Mavericks, responded to that article by sending out this tweet saying, "Total bullshit." But was it total BS, Mark Cuban? We're going to revisit this tweet and this quote coming up here in just a couple of minutes. Then we pivoted to Tuesday night. Kevin Durant, without Kyrie Irving, with a hobbled James Harden, needed to go in and come through with a legendary performance in Game 5 to help the Brooklyn Nets out. And what did the Nets do? They came back in a flurry, with a furious comeback against the Milwaukee Bucks, thanks to one of the most incredible playoff performances that we have seen in recent NBA history. Kevin Durant played all 48 minutes. He didn't rest a single second, and he notched 49 points, including a dagger three, which is the photo on your screen right here. We will always remember this game as the KD game. On Wednesday, the news started to really pick up, and it got insane. In the morning, we all woke up to a tweet notification from Shams saying that Chris Paul, after helping lead the Phoenix Suns to the Western Conference Finals, after sweeping the Denver Nuggets, tested positive for the coronavirus, and he's going to be in the health and safety protocols, and his status for the start of the Western Conference Finals is in doubt. Shams saying Phoenix Suns All-NBA guard Chris Paul has entered COVID-19 health and safety protocols and is sidelined for an indefinite period of time, sources tell The Athletic and Stadium. Not long after that, we found out that Kawhi Leonard, who hurt his knee earlier on in this series, was going to be out for Game 5, possibly Game 6, maybe even for the rest of the playoffs, because he hurt his ACL late in Game 4 in that Clippers versus Jazz game, and he is now injured with that torn ACL, and we're not sure if Kawhi Leonard is going to return for the rest of this series. He's definitely out for Game 6. If a Game 7 is forced, Kawhi, who is playing, aside from KD, the best basketball of anybody in the NBA playoffs, has gone down, which has thrown a wrench in the Clippers' plans, but also this NBA playoffs discussion. Not long after that, the news continued to come in. Stan Van Gundy, after 1 year as the head coach of the New Orleans Pelicans, out. Scott Brooks, after a few seasons with the Washington Wizards, out. So 2 coaches across the NBA, adding on to the openings for head coaches across the league. That news becoming official right after the Kawhi news, right after the CP3 news. And what's wild is that we were only getting started on Wednesday because the drama continued to unfold, and this insanity of a week only was getting started because Donnie Nelson, after 2+ decades with the Dallas Mavericks, general manager, president of basketball operations, the decision maker when it comes to player personnel, decided to step down from his post and resign and part ways with the Dallas Mavericks. Shams once again tweeting this because it's been a Shams and Woj heavy week. Mavericks GM Donnie Nelson and the franchise have decided to part ways, sources tell The Athletic. Remember when Mark Cuban said all of this was BS? Yeah, Mark, that tweet, that was BS. So given everything that we've covered so far, and we're only about halfway through, are you keeping up with me here? Are you keeping up with all of the wild, crazy, weird, and wacky storylines going on in this insane NBA week? Type WTF for you already know, or type WTF for you already know. Continue to keep up as we continue to recap this week. Later on Wednesday, because we're still on Wednesday, hump day, it was nuts. The 76ers, a game after going up by 18 against the Atlanta Hawks in Game 4, come back home to the Wells Fargo Center in South Philadelphia. They go up by 26 points. They're up by 18 points late in the third quarter, and the Atlanta Hawks storm back to take a 3-2 series lead, sending this series back to Atlanta for Game 6, do or die for the Sixers in the ATL on Friday night. And all Sixers fans, were looking like this at the Wells Fargo Center in Philly because they were in shambles. They were disgraced by the performance put forward by the Sixers, and some fans went as far as doing this, putting missing persons reports out for Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris all across the city of brotherly love because they haven't been seen since the first quarter of Game 4. My goodness, I absolutely love my city. After the Sixers choked and crumbled, Pandemic P, Paul George turned into playoff P. Paul George. Without Kawhi Leonard in that game, he goes into a raucous atmosphere in Utah, drops a 37-16 piece for the Los Angeles Clippers to also take a 3-2 series lead. Paul George, he said shh to the doubters. He put all the detractors to bed because he came forward with one of the clutchest performances in Los Angeles Clippers' recent playoff history. He has been beaten. He has been battered. He has been doubted. But Paul George, for one game, turned up, he showed out, and he was fantastic in this game for the Clips. Let's now shift to Thursday, because the Dallas Mavericks dysfunction, it continued. Rick Carlisle dipping out of Dallas. Going back to that tweet from Mark Cuban. Mark, was it all BS when you quote retweeted that article from The Athletic saying that there was no despair going on within the Dallas Mavericks organization? I'm going to say your tweet, Mark Cuban, was total BS because everything listed in that Athletic article came to fruition, and it all looks true right now because you're without Donnie Nelson, who's been with this organization for 2+ decades. Now you don't have your coach who led you to an NBA championship in 2011 and figures to be one of the hottest coaching candidates out there, and it is so telling that Rick Carlisle got out of Dallas when he has a generational superstar right under him in Luka Doncic. So something obviously isn't right within your organization and your business, Mark Cuban, so I'm calling BS on you. Also on Thursday, does Zion Williamson, after only 2 years in the Big Easy, want out of New Orleans? Another wild article where some reports indicate that Zion Williamson's family has grown frustrated with New Orleans and the organization, as well as him playing in that small market, and they don't want Zion in New Orleans any longer. They want him in a big market. They want him on a better team. The Pelicans and Stan Van Gundy already decided to part ways, so in year 3, this will be Zion's third team. Is Zion on the move because of some family drama? Okay, you already know we're going to continue to monitor that, and that's already on top of everything that has transpired throughout this week. And late on Thursday, Milwaukee Bucks, after choking down the stretch in Game 5 because KD went off for 49 points in 48 minutes, able to force a Game 7 because, like playoff P and KD from earlier in the week, Khris Middelton put on a performance for the ages for this Bucks franchise that hasn't had a lot of postseason success. This was a historic performance from the Bucks' number 2 guy. 38 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 steals to force a Game 7 this weekend against the Brooklyn Nets. If I'm KD in the Nets, I want KD chucking up 50 shots. Are the Bucks going to be able to go on the road in Brooklyn at the Barclays Center, where they haven't won a game all year, and force a Game 7? We will see. Now let's get to modern day on Friday. I wake up, my alarm sounds. I'm so excited to come to work because I get to go live on NBA Now and talk hoops with all of you and recap this insanity of a week. And what happens? I get the tweet from Woj because he's like, yo, Shams, you've been breaking news all week. I have to get in on the action. Kemba Walker, traded from the Boston Celtics to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Al Horford coming back to Boston as they enter this pivotal offseason. This is the first major move that now general manager and former head coach Brad Stevens has made as a front office executive. Celtics able to clear some cap space over the next 2 years because Kemba Walker is due somewhere in the neighborhood of $74 million. Al Horford over the next 2 years, around $53 million, but that salary in his second year only half guaranteed. So a reason to clear money for the Boston Celtics as they try to continue to build around Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. They get Kemba Walker's contract out of there. They fulfill a need in the front court by bringing back Al Horford as well as a backup center in Moses Brown. The other big part of this deal, a first-round pick for the Celtics going to OKC. They have 15 first-round picks over the next 5 years. My gosh, Sam Presti, He's like a Midwestern gunslinger with all these draft assets. And of course, as we do here at Chat Sports, we broke down, we recapped, we dissected that trade between the Boston Celtics and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Who won it? What are the big parts of the deal? What does it mean for both teams? YouTube.com/ChatSportsTV if you want to watch it on our main Chat Sports YouTube channel, or YouTube.com/CelticsTV if you're a Celtics fan and you want to watch it there.